And Donnie, unfortunately, you did have a short career. Was it 79 to 83, or how long?
80 to 82.
Okay.
80,
So
82. So the first year, I was learning the tracks as well as how fast these riders were on these tracks. I didn't. I injured my ankle on the outdoors. I finished eighth in the premier class in Supercross, and I didn't finish the outdoors. But um, the ones that I did, I placed, I placed, all right, pretty good, I guess. Uh, Good enough where Honda rehired me because the first year I signed for 1 year, and then after the first year, then Honda signed me for the second year. So the second year, I finished sixth in the premier class, and I was still learning the tracks on the outdoors. I didn't finish them all because I injured my ankle the first year, but still did well enough where I finished third behind Howerton and Hannah. I was a distant third, but yes, I finished third in that. So I finished out. I finished out and raced all tracks. I know how fast the riders are now. So going into my third year in '82, I got stronger physically, mentally. Johnny and I pushing each other, getting ready
how
for the
old were you in
outdoors.
82, Donnie?
I was 22 at the beginning. I turned 23 in March.
Okay.
So in
Sorry,
January, I
I
was 20,
interrupted you. I just wanted
and
to
then
continue on.
so I so the so training, getting ready, testing and training, testing with Honda and Brian Lunas, my mechanic. Coming on our weekends off from the nationals, we would go race locally just to stay competitive. So as it turned out, the first race being Anaheim, I won. Jeff Ward and I diced a little bit during that moto, but I eventually stretched it out and I won the first race. The second and third race was in Seattle, where I won the second race. And as I'm winning, I'm getting stronger mentally. Um, the third race was the second night in Seattle, where I tightened up because I had the points lead, obviously after the first two rounds of winning, and I finished sixth, and that was the worst race of that season, sixth place. That race and my last race were, you know, I, the last race at LA Coliseum was uh, was the other bad race where I can win the series at that event, which was the second to last race, and I just had to beat out Mark Barnett. So, anyways, yeah, the third race I finished sixth, which was one of the worst events. But then we got back on track, and I did better. I don't remember where it was or how I did, but it was up there around somewhere between second or between first and
Yeah, so
fourth place.
you finished second in Atlanta. That's what it looks like.
Okay. Yeah. I think I won four races that year, and that was Anaheim, Seattle, and then where does it say the two races together in the same weekend?
Pontiac?
On Michigan. Yeah, I won that. That was a doubleheader, and I won both events there. So I ended up winning the series um, premature, one race premature on the 11th round of the 12-round series. And then there was a big break from uh, before the last race in the Supercross series, and that's when I went back to Europe and raced the last 250 World Championship in Vimmerby, Sweden, and I won both motos there. And Laporte clinched the championship, and then getting ready for those nations, because we won it the year before in '81, is when I got hurt, and that forced me to retire. And then they flew in David Bailey to take my place, and which we won that year, the second year. '81 were me and my teammates, Johnny O'Mara, Danny Laporte, and Chuck Sun. We won for the first time for the U.S.
So was there 4 riders back then for that mix
Yes.
of nations?
Yeah, it was 4 riders, and the worst rider, they threw that score out. So it ended up being 3 riders. They had 4 riders and threw out the worst. So the best 3 riders of the weekend was your score. So so back then we rode the first weekend. It was different. Everyone from around the world representing your country rode 250s. So it was 4 of us on a team representing your country, and we went to Lommel, Belgium, probably one of the roughest tracks in the world, and we beat the Europeans on their turf. Then the next weekend we went to another country, which was Belstein, Germany, and everyone rode 500s.
Wow.
And we won. We beat the Europeans on their turf there in Germany again. So that was the first. So we had to ride 2 different weekends, unlike nowadays. You'd race one track somewhere around the world to come up with your score. So we
Interesting.
won both weekends, 250s the first weekend, 500s the second weekend.
So who was the guy that dropped the score?
If I remember, shoot, who was? I think Chuck Sun, because he was riding injured ankle. So I want to say Chuck.
So that seems like a lot of financial responsibility to bring 250s and 500s to overseas.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I don't remember if we rode the European bikes. Oh, I think we took over our bikes. I think we took over our bikes and rode on own bikes. Otherwise, I was going to say, we took over our parts and rode the European bikes. The factory Honda over there in Europe. But I think we did take over our own bikes. Yes, it is. It's a big responsibility from the manufacturer.
Wild. So what was it like riding a 500?
A handful.
Yeah.
So that first moto, I didn't get the greatest start. I think I came from like 10th place, and I worked my way through, and I finished second. Finished second behind Håkan Carquist, who I believe was world champion that year. In between motos, it started drizzling, started raining a little bit, and that track was hard packed, and it got real greasy. So, from what I remember, just trying to keep it on 2 wheels and finish up there. I finished, I think, around 9th or 10th, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
So,
wild.
and Johnny and Danny Laporte, we had the lowest score. We did it. We did it again. Over there in Germany on the 500s. We beat the world champions. So that was kind of when America, the U.S. riders started, making a name for themselves, as some of the best riders in the world now, because of Supercross. We had Supercross before the Europeans did. So all the riding and the technical riding it takes to ride Supercross made us better, made a better rider out of us.